what's up? It's Tony Hawk, and this guy right here is the godfather of all modern skateboarding tricks. This is Rodney Mullen.
Toothless Rodney Mullen.
Yeah, what happened there? It's kind of like, it looks like you kind of punk and you slam maybe.
I went to go see Jamie Thomas. I see him, he's a friend. And he's just staring at me. He's like, you look kind of tough.
Yeah.
I fell on my face when I was like 12. It's been cracked up ever since, and I just bit into a sandwich like a couple months ago, and it popped out. So whenever I'm with my wife, it always comes up, and I just point to her, you know.
That's a good one. It's funny because you and I used to bounce tricks off of each other, right? Yeah. And I remember you watched me do an airwalk, and then you're like, oh, I gotta learn that. And then you go and do it on the flat.
And likewise, when I would do a trick and then see you do it invert, like finger flips.
Oh, yeah.
And I would just like, oh my God, he's doing that in pools, and I'm having problems on the ground doing some other 180, like wake up. And it would be so inspiring for me, you know?
Would you say that you're the first person to really ollie on flat ground?
I mean, I'm from Florida. Al Gelfin came and I watched him do it on vert. It was, you know, like a thrust, right? 180 move.
Yeah, it wasn't about the tail.
Yeah, but there's an old freestyle trick, just a transfer, and when you need to get to your nose to do stuff like truck stands, you just click your tail and jump to your nose, so it go like that.
Right.
So it's just a quick hop, and it was all just after seeing him. I thought, you know, I'll just do that and jump. That's all there was to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a transfer, and then in all of a day, suddenly you're getting over a foot. It seemed like it was just a good way to get up curbs. And it was a contest 6 months later or something, Rusty Harris series. And I started my run with it, and Stacy I got the laugh. I knew it was good. And he sent me to Thrasher right away up north, and they shot a picture of it, and they put it on the cover. And
I mean, you started grabbing it not long after that, right?
Yeah, because I wanted to be like you. I just didn't have guts to skate pools.
It's funny because I remember when you were doing like kickflips, people couldn't figure out how you flip the board, and then they called it the magic flip because they didn't know. But I do remember when you started doing 360 flips, people thought that was just a novelty. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and that's how I felt. Like, people didn't barely notice the flip, right? Because it was more of a shove it.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, so I'll try double 360 flip, see if they get then. And, you know, it was like that. Because, and
people didn't notice
really
the 360 flip, so let's double it and see if they notice.
But that was one that kind of went, and it was like, I put that one back. You know?
Right.
Because people didn't seem to like it too much. But then when Jason came out and started doing it with such flair and style, you know what I mean? Just so perfect.
Yeah, that's what brought it around for sure.
I think so.
But speaking of going out and skating, I know you skate till like, what, 3, 4 a.m.?
Yeah, so I get home usually between 3 and 3:30. Yeah.
Alone.
Yeah.
And you've been skating alone for years like that, right? In the middle of the night. I mean, there are people that are like, there's Rodney sightings. I saw Rodney skating this gas station at 2:30 a.m. As if it's some rare thing. You're like, you saw Rodney in his element. Like, there it is.
Yeah. I just tinker around like that through the night, and that's like the joy for me. So if anyone watched me, it would be so embarrassing, you know, for me. Yeah. And then that's part of that.
But I do understand it because I feel like you always kind of skated alone anyway, even when you were growing up. You were skating alone at your house. So I've known Rodney so long that I did get to see him skate, sort of transition in bowls. And I saw Rodney Mullen do a hand plant in a little bowl one time with full gear and wrist guards. Invert. I saw it. What would it take to get you to do that now?
Oh man, it would be fun. They just built a mini ramp at the company. I want to go in the middle of the night.
Can you imagine? Wow, that's gonna be a viewer request. You know?
Yeah.
How was it when you finally made a transition into street skating? Like you started riding a bigger board and doing stuff on obstacles. How was that for you?
So embarrassing. Like, so embarrassing. I mean, first, the nature of freestyle, what I always did was you just look down. You're not going to bump into anything. You don't want to bump anything. Avoid the cracks, avoid the curves, certainly avoid the ledges. And it's like, okay, you're supposed to aim at this thing and jump on it and slide. And dude, all I could do was look down, and I kept running into stuff. Like, I was blind. Look, the blind guy can actually skate. That's amazing. You know what I mean? Because I would plow right into it. My timing was all off. And the thing is, people like, oh, wow, that's Rodney Mullen. He's really good. No, he's not. You know?
Welcome to my street career.
Right.
Exactly. Speaking of switch, I mean, you made it your mission to just completely switch your stance. And I remember right around that time, I asked if you could do like a quick trick tip for this video we're making, like something really that would be easy for you, but impossible, or a double kickflip or something, anything. And you said, I can't do anything in my normal stance, or it's like getting too close to the black hole. Because you had trained yourself so well to start skating Goofyfooted,
Yeah.
that you were like, if I do anything regular, it's all over. That's what you told me. And it was like this most serious, I just can't do it. There's no way.
That's okay. The gist of it is this: you know, everyone's done your back foot bounces off, you do the splits,
Right.
and I did that kind of one too many times. Whatever it is, a bunch of scar tissue grew up, and it pulled my leg into my hip so tight that it was grinding about 30 times a day. And the doc says it's going to grind the head off the bone, and then the bone started to sort of fuse in a way. So it didn't work. And that started to happen most of the way through round 3, and it was horrible. At the end of the day, when the sun starts to go down, and the temperature changes like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10
You mean
degrees.
right about when you're waking up?
That's just after breakfast. I'd have to put blankets on my leg. I couldn't sit next to a wall in an airplane. I'd have to get 2 or 3 blankets.
Wow.
It was crazy. I was overwhelmed. Basically, they just go, you're kind of screwed. And you get a doctor can't cut on it because it's all throughout you, and it's just going to generate more problems. So here's how it works. Good luck. And I learned basically how to tear that stuff out because it grows like weeds in you, and you have to tear yourself. And finally, you have to learn to put so much pressure on yourself. It's enough to almost kind of break your own bone. And the night I broke, like I put my leg in my wheel well in my car and reached for under the frame of my car and just rip. And the hours would go by. 3 cops at different times, because in the middle of the night, would come by because of yells. They thought I was being mugged. And
By your own car?
they're like, what? And come out with a gun. And I peek my head up from under the car. I'm okay, officer. I'm full of tears. And so that was 2 years of that, and I pretty much got rid of that 13 nights out of 14. I take a day off every 2 weeks. And I realized, like, wow, like every skater is good enough to stand on their board exactly the opposite in both ways, where a kickflip and a heel flip and a 360 flip should be the same way in our minds, but your body won't let you because it naturally kind of forms. That's the problem. Like, think of like a trick that you always fall on your back, you know, fakey 5-0, fakey flip, or 360 flip, you hurl to your back or something. Why would you do that? And because you're stuck. And so I was like, okay, I learned how to unravel my stance. Wow, like, I don't want to go back to doing what I was doing, because who even cares if I learn how to flip out of a primo in another way? Do I even care, like, after polishing a turd? And so I thought, what if I can unravel it and approach the tricks that I could never do no matter how much practice, and do essentially switch tricks that are impossible to switch, because at that stage it's really just, for me, goofy, because, you know, like some tricks by nature switch are really hard, you know? I figure, look, I'll just disappear, and hopefully my sequences or tricks at that time will do the talking, and then I can talk about it. And now I've filmed 3 or 4 things, or 5 or whatever, that, okay, this is indicative. Like, I don't know no matter how hard I would have tried to do a kickflip 1 foot nose switch, I couldn't have done that. Because you know it's like to land on a fakie manual, you go, but to do 1 foot, you have to turn your body around. So, okay, that was a good test. And like, wow, okay, I did that, but I still have some work. And so now I have a couple goals. Like, once I get this 1 set of tricks, then I know the rest cascade. Here's 30 more. And so it would mean so much to me if I can come out truly to have no stance, to be stance-less, and do the things that I know I could never do no matter what. And if the rest of my body gives out, that's fine, because at least I did something that you know what I mean?